What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 47 of the A to D From Addict to Disciple podcast. I'd like to give a big shout out to a listener in Pennsylvania who suggested this episode idea to me. I really appreciate you, man. If any of you have episode ideas or would like one-on-one counseling, or want to start or join an online group using the From A to D curriculum or podcasts, you can contact me in the most convenient way for you. Go to my website, www.fromatod.org, and click on the contact page, or leave me a message on Anchor, or email me at davidfromatod@gmail.com, or on Instagram at davidfromatod. We'll get into this episode entitled Imposter Syndrome, Is It Sabotaging Your Recovery? When we come back. Welcome back to this episode entitled Imposter Syndrome, Is It Sabotaging Your Recovery? Around 1978, Doctors Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes at Georgia State University first identified the imposter syndrome. It can be defined as a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evident success. Imposters suffer from chronic self-doubt and the feeling of being a fraud that overrides any feelings or actual proof of success that everyone else sees. The work of Doctors Clance and Imes focused initially on women struggling with success in their workplace or their place in society. The symptoms that they found included feelings like success is impossible, feeling incompetent despite demonstrating competency, fear of not meeting another person's expectations, feeling like past successes and hard work were only due to luck, feeling uncomfortable with receiving praise or congratulations, and feeling stressed, anxious, or depressed from feelings of inadequacy. Well, a number of high-achieving people, including Michelle Obama, Kate Winslet, Emma Watson, and many more, have spoken out about their experiences with imposter syndrome in interviews. Michelle Obama described it in an interview on December 4th, 2018, on the Guardian News Penguin Talk as, quote, a stigma in my own mind, unquote. And this was in regard to being a young woman of color who got into a prestigious school. She stated, quote, kids like me feel like they don't belong. The question that always dogged her, even into the White House, was, am I good enough? She chose to work hard at proving herself whenever she doubted herself. And in an interview in 2019 on the Star online TV, Michelle Obama explained, because you've been told that you're not good enough, that when you're in a room, you're watching and wondering, well, how did I get here? You feel like an imposter in your own life, especially if you've achieved success. Much of it is what you practice telling yourself, and if you've heard that you're not good enough, that's what you're practicing. Sure, can you see this battle that Michelle Obama had going on inside her head for so many years and decades? As I said, she wasn't alone. World-renowned American poet Maya Angelou said, quote, I have written 11 books, but each time I think, uh-oh, they're going to find out now. I've run a game on everybody, and they're going to find me out. Whew. American actress, singer, and dancer Jennifer Lopez described her imposter syndrome feelings like this. Even though I had sold 70 million albums, there I was feeling like I'm no good at this. Wow. Can you see that you're not alone in your struggle with this imposter syndrome? For the remainder of this episode, I'd like to focus on how imposter syndrome can undermine your recovery. Imagine, after numerous failed times at rehab, or possibly in and out of prison, through a great deal of effort and hard work, you're finally clean and sober, and people are proud of you. But you feel like you don't deserve the pats on the back and the words of praise. You feel like a fraud or an imposter. Listen to some of the symptoms of the imposter syndrome through the eyes of an addict in recovery and see if you hear yourself. First, past family expectations and perfectionism have left a scar in you that you are never good enough and will never be good enough. Did you have one or both of those parents who were critical and demanding, never satisfied with anything you did, and at the same time withheld love and affection and remained emotionally aloof from you? What did you do to your self-confidence in the face of this sort of criticism and judgment? How did this wreck your self-esteem as you tried to make friends in school and in your life? Did you feel like you were always falling short of what your potential friends expected from you as a friend? Perhaps you felt that your love was never enough to make anyone happy. This type of low self-esteem stems from a deep emotional wound in our past. So it's important to understand the cause of this low self-esteem and to focus on healing in that area, which has turned into imposter syndrome. Number 2, as a result of your low self-esteem, you settle for less than you are capable of achieving. I want you to think about a basketball player who never attempts a three-point shot. He settles for the two-pointer, or he passes it to someone else. Maybe you should picture the soccer player who's always looking first to pass the ball to any teammate because he is convinced that they have a better shot than him. Are you that person? Has your low self-esteem paralyzed your hopes and left you incapable of dreaming big? So you settle for the easiest and least risky thing in every area of your life. Eventually, you run the risk of boredom with the less that you settle for, and that boredom can be a huge trigger to relapse. Third, are you struggling with the doubt stigma that you will always be an addict no matter how strong your recovery is? So just as you minimized your life in addiction, you now minimize or discount your success in recovery. This action can actually lead you to relapse. It is a form of self-sabotage that can undermine your recovery. In recovery, you deceive yourself into feeling guilty when someone compliments how much you've changed, or how good you look now, or how far you've come in your sobriety. You feel guilty because you subconsciously remember the deceiving, manipulative you from your addiction and link it to the present you. Number 4, remembering the mess your life was in addiction, you are convinced that you don't measure up or fit in your circle of friends in your recovery. Wow, that's big. And this could be a truly toxic situation. Because on one hand, you know if you return to your old friends that you risk returning to your old addictive behaviors. On the other hand, you're embarrassed whenever you're in a group of your new friends because their life looks so perfect and you feel still stuck in the mess of your past. This isn't simply about finding new friends who will be supportive of you in your recovery. This is about facing your desire to have new friends where your past addiction and your present recovery are not the topic of discussion or things that you do together. Number 5, fear of being exposed as a fraud. The voice inside your head says, if they only knew the real me, my thoughts, my struggles, my urges, they would drop me like a hot potato. You may be afraid to speak up about the cravings you've been having to use again every day, every hour, maybe every minute. What would they think if you told them these feelings that you're having about drinking or getting high again? Would they think you were a fraud? Or could they accept you and accept that cravings are normal recovery? Well, a great way to stop feeling like an imposter, a great way to stop these 5 categories that we just discussed, is to stop thinking like an imposter. You need to change your way of thinking. Just as your character has been transformed, your thoughts are in need of transformation. It's like you need to rewire your house or reprogram your computer. Recognize that your sobriety is not the result of luck. It's not a fluke. You choose and you chose to give it a try. You chose to admit you were powerless. You asked for help. You did the hard work. You earned it, and you are worthy of this success. You are not a fraud. Dennis Waitley, American motivational speaker and author, said, "It's not what you are that holds you back. It's what you think you are not." Are you ready to begin thinking that you are a successful recovered addict or alcoholic, and that you are not an imposter? Buddha once said, "Nothing can harm you as much as your own thoughts unguarded." I urge you to begin to take your thoughts captive. Write them down, process them, and throw out the imposter thoughts. When you do this, you'll find that as you guard your thoughts, you begin to experience more peace in your life. Wayne W. Dyer, an American self-help and spiritual author and motivational speaker, once said, "Peace is the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is rather than as you think it should be." You catch that? Process life as it is rather than as you think it should be. So if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Live your life like it's a dance. When you dance, your purpose is not to get to a certain place on the floor. It's to enjoy each step of the dance along the way. Can you retrain your mind to enjoy your dance of recovery? Brendan Burchard, American high-performance coach and New York Times best-selling author, said, "So much of the imposter syndrome involves analytically questioning yourself, digging a hole, and doubting yourself. You're letting your own thoughts poison you instead of fuel you. Visualization and meditating on the actual outcome of your contributions can be your savior." Are you ready to begin turning your thoughts into fuel for growth? In the A to D curriculum, one of the things that we focus on is learning how our core values and beliefs control our feelings, thoughts, and actions. Let me ask you this question in regard to your struggle with the imposter syndrome. What are your hidden core values and beliefs about yourself that are running the show? It's time to identify them and see how they have burdened your journey of recovery by making you feel like an imposter. In closing, I found a university student on Reddit who has struggled with the imposter syndrome ever since he started high school. He said that anytime his struggle gets bad, he sings the song "Stop This Train" by John Mayer. It's a song about a young man who is afraid he won't succeed or fit in as he gets older, and he views his life like a train that he can't stop. I've had many addicts a few weeks into rehab express the same feelings to me, that here they were on this rehab train and they don't know how to stop it, and they're afraid that they won't be a success. Listen to just the first verse of the lyrics, but I do urge you to hear the whole song on your own sometime. Here goes. No, I'm not colorblind. I know the world is black and white. I try to keep an open mind, but I just can't sleep on this tonight. Stop this train. I want to get off and go home again. I can't take the speed it's moving in. I know I can't, but honestly, won't someone stop this train? Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy these podcasts, please share the link with your friends. If you'd like to support our work with people caught in the snare of addiction, homelessness, or incarceration, click on the support link in this episode's description. Your donation of any amount can change a life. Tune in Monday for our next episode, and as always, stay safe and stay strong.